Colorado State University is ultimately a higher education system. So when we make the news for number 2 university in the nation for sustainability, I'm all about it. But I would say that sports, I was an athlete in college, are a vital part to the financial aspect, specifically football, of university programs. And CSU just doesn't make the news very much. And unfortunately, this last week, when we did make the news, it was because we had probably some young idiot kids thinking they were hilarious, yell out at some Utah State Ukrainian player, and they kept on yelling Russia. And my hope is that it's a small amount. I believe it is a small amount of people, but CSU makes ESPN news for calling a kid or calling out Russia to a kid who happens to be Ukrainian. Pretty low class, but at least we can celebrate the wins for CSU with the sustainability, an MBA program that ranks very highly, number 1, I believe, in the state of Colorado, and ranks very highly nationally. But the sports programs, not specific to volleyball and track and field, basketball and football could step up specifically on national news. But this is live in Fort Collins. I don't know what week this is, but essentially we're going to talk to you about what has happened in Fort Collins, what is happening in Fort Collins, a city council recap, developments that are going on, whether it's neighborhood meeting, conceptual review, preliminary review, and then also we do a neighborhood spotlight. This week we are going to look at Mosaic. It's a new development in the northeast part of Fort Collins, built in 2018. So we'll do about a 2-minute video. It's going to be about 12 to 15 minutes long, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I appreciate you guys joining me. We do these on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. So jumping into things that happened in Fort Collins over the last week. The King Soopers, that was once a Kmart, last operational in 2018, finally saw the Radio Shack building get demolished. There's no permits yet for the development of 130,000 square foot King Soopers. That's going to replace its old flagship spot just a few doors down. But ultimately, it's nice to see, because those fences have been up for about a year now, but some activity going on there. Additional development activity in Fort Collins. We are going to see a new chicken restaurant where there was once a walk and roll. I believe it's going to be right next to the old Chuck E. Cheese's, which is now AutoZone. They're going to split the building into 2. There's going to be a chicken joint, and we don't know what the other spot's going to be. Not sure how Music City Chicken is going to respond to that, because that's a pretty solid joint, and there's going to be 2 chicken spots right there. But I can tell you that I ate at Blazing Bird today on North College. Pretty solid spot. I think it's a chain restaurant, but I enjoy it. And otherwise, Krispy Kreme has finally announced that, yes, it is in fact going to be building a drive-through clear. I've actually never been to a Krispy Kreme, but I eat plenty of them, so I feel like I know them well. But they're going to have glass counter for all the donuts making and all that good stuff going on. They are hoping to be open by the end of the year. That's going to be on College and Harmony on the southwest side where Fazoli's used to be. So not good news for my life or my heart, because it is right on the way home. And if you watch any of my videos, I am a sweets guy, baked goods specifically, and Krispy Kreme, fresh off the oven. I don't know. Maybe I've fended off dad bod for 5 years. Maybe year 6, I just give in, right? So, but otherwise, the state of Colorado, we passed the wolves. We had wolves be reintroduced to the state of Colorado. There is a pack of 6, but I believe that there's belief that the producing female has died. But 2 of the males this last week were collared, and then 2 days later, one of the collars slipped off. Relatively contentious topic for some in the state of Colorado, especially ranchers in the area who have lost livestock, and what this means to the impact of the area. But it makes the news. It's a talking point in Colorado. So if you're looking at moving here, know that there are wolves being reintroduced to the state of Colorado. In the North Park area specifically, they're seen quite a bit. Let's see here. What is happening over this next week in the city of Fort Collins is that there's are one of two bike to work days in the state or in the city of Fort Collins. And specifically, it's going to be February 10th from 7 a.m. to 9:30. There's going to be 50 breakfast stations set up throughout town. And then from between 9:45 to 10:15, there's going to be a closing ceremonies on Linden Street where they'll be giving away mugs and even a bicycle. So this is the Moves department of City of Fort Collins that puts this on. It's grown phenomenally. February 10th. It's going to be a decent day. You don't necessarily have to be biking to work, but you should bike somewhere to the gym, to groceries, somewhere, and be on the lookout because there's plenty of bike stations. But so if you see people are riding their bike that day or people on the side of the roads with coffee, food, refreshments, that is what it is about, is the bike to work day, providing people an opportunity to learn the 50 plus miles of paved trails throughout Fort Collins, not including the 280 plus miles of bikeway that it does include that 50 plus miles of paved. So that's something to look forward to this coming week in Fort Collins. Is February 10th, so just in a couple of days. Let's see here. City of Fort Collins, developments under review. This was just happened last night. The biggest thing that really happened was Regulation 1041, which very confusing, but essentially passed in 1974. Granted these cities the rights to have a say in big projects, highways, waterways that might impact its area, but a lot of cities don't necessarily take it into effect. And so the city of Fort Collins is considering taking 1041 regulations into effect and allowing permits for these developments. But City of Windsor was there, City of Erie was there, talking to the city of Fort Collins, saying, hey, like this could have a big impact on not just you, but us and the development of, the NISP, which is a lot of people thought that maybe these 1041 regulations were kind of the cover up of where they could maybe supersede this NISP and Glade Reservoir that have been approved and are essentially going to be approved and pushed through to build these massive reservoirs, two, in fact. And the NISP is the Northern Integrated Supply Project. And essentially it's going to supply 15 cities with enough for 80,000 families of 13 billion gallons of water annually, enough for 80,000 families. And with the growth of Fort Collins or Northern Colorado expected to explode over these next years to 2050, this project is really important for the development and growth of the city of Fort Collins. And 1041 regulations may impact the permits and the build of these reservoirs and waterways. It has impacts other ways too, and the scope of the project has to be so big. So it gets to be really confusing. And ultimately, the city of Fort Collins passed 7-0 to delay the first reading of this proposal 7-0 until May 2nd. So they want to get more clarity, more understanding. And yeah, I high level, it just seems like a potential big impact fee for developers, projects, and surrounding cities are really concerned about what the city of Fort Collins is doing. So again, something to keep your eye on. And depending on what you feel, talk to your city council member, let them know what your concerns are, reach out, talk, get educated. This show is just to kind of show you high level. And if you want, I can dig in more and find out more information, maybe even get somebody on our podcast to talk more specifically about what 1041 regulations are. And if you haven't watched our podcast, it just is, again, a really great resource for everything Fort Collins. But that's the only thing that happened really at the city of Fort Collins last night. Developments under review. Recently, the city of Fort Collins passed whether it was city of Fort Collins or city council passed a mobile home zone, meaning that there is going to be zone specific for developments that are mobile home zones only. And the reasoning for that was so that they could protect these affordable income and affordable housing opportunity for people, and not just be a land bank for developers for future redevelopment and then displacement of all these families. So they created a mobile home zone. And I don't know how many mobile home zones have officially rezoned to become a mobile home zone, but that is one thing that's going through right now is a neighborhood meeting for the North College rezoning to a mobile home zone. The other one is a 9th and Suniga multifamily project. That's a 260 unit multifamily right near Alta Vista on the right northeast of Old Town. Again, more development density in kind of the Old Town area. We continue to see more and more density in this Old Town area, trying to allow for less transportation, less vehicles on the road, housing close and near to working opportunities. That is really it as far as the developments under review. Prior to getting into any of the video for this week of Mosaic, does anyone have any questions or anything like that that I could help answer? Let me check. No? Okay, great. I am going to now do our Mosaic video for the week and jump in to talk to you guys about so this is Mosaic. We've worked with a couple clients here that have bought, not sold, but bought. This was a development began in 2017-18 by Hartford Homes. They were the master developer, and they also build homes on here with Lennar. Condo, townhomes, single families, 2.5 miles from I-25, 3 miles from downtown Fort Collins, and 5 miles from CSU. You can find homes in this area anywhere from $350,000 for a condo, really upwards to $750,000 for a single family home. These single family homes are in smaller lots, alley load garages, but very nice, very well put together. There's a couple of pools already there. Amenities are still working until the development gets to a point where these they're going to be funded fully, and there's going to be a 20-acre park open area in this development as well as commercial that's going to be built along kind of the outskirts of the town. Some things that people kind of complain about are the train that goes off at 4 a.m. sometimes. Specifically, I have one client that says, I don't know, how people do it. I'm guessing she's gotten used to it because I haven't heard her complain too much recently. There is a pretty sizable mobile home park, again, to the west of this development. And I don't personally have any experience of any type of crime or anything like that that's going there. I have had friends and families say that it's a relatively higher crime area, but I don't know that for sure. So definitely something to take into consideration if you're looking at Mosaic. Once Montava is built out, this will be a really interesting development because you're really going to be right close to Montava. That's probably where you're going to go grocery shopping. It's going to be right down the road. And then access, again, to I-25 is actually not super easy because you do go out to Mulberry and then out to I-25. But great location, close to downtown, close to Old Town, near CSU. Walk paths and bike paths are coming. And so definitely will be here in the near future. But Mosaic's a cool new development, less construction happening now than there was a couple of years ago, and there'll be less and less construction as we go. So that is our neighborhood development, neighborhood spotlight for the week is Mosaic. So I appreciate you guys watching and tuning in each and every week. If you guys ever have any questions or want to find out anything further about Fort Collins, City of Fort Collins, feel free to reach out. Again, me and my team, Connor, Zach, Izzy, Ashley, we are licensed in the state of Colorado. We work with buyers, sellers, and investors. So if you ever have any need or desire and want to work with us, we'd be happy to answer any and all your questions and maybe be a resource and an asset to you and your team. Until next time, guys, we will talk to you later. Thanks for watching.